balance control. So balance control is something that you want to be having on all the time, when you're doing your chi sao. Meaning you always have a connection to their balance and a sense of balance in yourself. So there's two parts of the control here. One is making sure you've got a nice, good control or a good alignment in your own balance. And the other part is that everything is connected to their balance. So I center myself, I sense my space to unify my structure. I then target my whole structure into his center, and I flow my whole intention from my center to his center. So I will constantly have a connection to his balance, so that as I go to move, you'll see that it affects his balance, right? You always want to have a connection to their balance, so that as you offset their balance, it makes it easier to attack and control their body. So in the exercise of balance control, you maintain kind of the luk sao as a foundation, but it now starts to get a little bit dynamic, more dynamic, in that your arms can move a little more freely. Now the thing to keep in mind, the guidelines when doing balance control, is that you're aiming to offset your opponent's balance and control their balance and move them as though you're holding their spine to a degree. You want to control and move their balance whilst protecting your center. So if Carlson goes to move my balance, right, and he goes to reach through towards me and it affects my balance, right, good, that's fine, right? I still kept my space, I kept my balance, I kept upright, I didn't let these collapse. But what I don't want to do is that as Carlson goes to offset my balance, I don't want to move my hands off the center. See, I've moved them off the center to keep my spine here, my balance. Because now I've given up the center, right? I've given up the center in order to maintain my balance. And that's not a good trade. So you always want to be A, protecting your center. So I'm always protecting my center. B, keeping my balance. And C, connecting to his balance. So a good way to start balance control. So the objective is to work on connecting your stance and your state to their center. Remember that line we talk about in the state, from the earth to the crown. You're targeting your mind, your intention, your energy, your momentum, your structure, your mass. Your whole being is targeted to that line, not forcefully. So you're not pushing to the line, you're aiming to the line. So the way to start off practicing this is that from your luk sao, we often start with, okay, one person's going to attack the other person. So I'm going to attack and try to control Carlson's balance, and Carlson's going to try and defend. He's going to try and not lose his balance. Yeah, I'm going to work on moving and controlling him whilst protecting the center as usual, and he's going to work on trying to maintain his balance, maintain his structure. Yeah, so it's not wrong to be moved around. What's wrong is to use force, right? Wrong in the sense that you're looking to cultivate the state and the structure, not your muscular development, not pushing and pulling. So then Carlson will have a turn. Now, ultimately, as Carlson tries to take my balance and go, then I'd be able to roll the forces away and not have my balance moved at all, ultimately, right?
Can't move you anyway.
Yeah. That's the aim, right? But sometimes Carlson's really in the zone. He's in the state. I'm distracted or whatever. I'm not very on, and he comes right through. Yeah, it'll move my stance, but who cares? It doesn't matter. You're just working on maintaining balance, connecting to their balance. Now, you take turns. So Carlson has his turn. Now I have my turn. I work on, okay, I center, I sense, I aim towards him, and then I try to reach through and feel like, the way you can think about it, guys, the way you can think about this exercise is that, okay, if Carlson's arm, right, was a handle, and his spine was the hammer on the end of the handle. If I wanted to move that hammer somewhere, I'd just move it, right? I'd move it, right? Yeah? I'd move the actual handle to move the head of the hammer. That's a way of conceiving it, right? I want to, from my contact, connect to his center and then move the head of the hammer where I want to move it, right? From the contact points, right? So this is a way to conceive or think of it, right? So, once again, the objective is to maintain balance and attack and move the other person's balance whilst protecting your center. So you should never feel like you can be hit. The next component is, okay, that's the objective, is how are you doing that? The state. I center, draw up, sense the spine, get in that good vibrational feeling. So get a good feelingness in your center. I sense my space and my structure, so I unify my structure and my stance. I sink and dissolve, so I'm not using force and tension. There's a level of relaxation in the system from the sinking. And then I target it into his center so that as I move, the pressure is then hitting his central balance column so that I can actually offset his balance and control his body. And now it's Carsten's turn. He does exactly the same thing. He goes in state, center, sink C, he tries to reach through, and he tries to offset my balance. If I'm applying, just the nice circular structures, he moves around, moves me from place to place. And then you can work on trying to maintain your state, and as they go to do it, you can work on trying to not let them offset your balance. And you'll find that even in a defensive mechanism, you're able to offset their balance. So take turns, one attack, one defend. And then what you'll do is then both. So you can play with balance control. Okay, your turn to attack, Carsten, my turn to attack. Okay, and then we both do it. So then Carsten tries to offset my balance, and I try to offset his at the same time. So we're not even actually striking it. We're just maintaining protection of our centers. So I'm not letting Carsten come through the center. He's not letting me come through his center, which sets up the platform to play with balance control because we're both defending our centers. If we weren't protecting our centers, then it would look a bit more like this as he goes to, So he'd never be able to get my balance because I'd never be protecting myself. Make sense? Because if I'm protecting my center, I have to put momentum and direction towards his center. If he's protecting his center, he has to put a direction towards my center. Because if he doesn't, I'll hit him. So if Carsten puts his hands out like this and he opens his arms up, look, bang, 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 I can hit him. Even if from contact, if he starts going out or up or down, as opposed to forward, it's quite easy to actually reach through because there's no direction forward. Think about it. If this force is coming this way and this force is coming this way, they stop each other. But if there's nothing coming towards it, they can go through. So the underlying premise or foundation to train balance control is that you need to make sure you're protecting your center and aiming forward, right? And from that, you play, yeah? I'm aiming forward, he's aiming forward, and he's trying to grab my balance, I'm trying to grab his balance, yeah? And you can keep that connection to them and move whilst training the state. So this is just it's like a game. And you've got to remember, all of the different exercises are skill development. You're developing a particular skill which can be added to your overall game or your overall martial skill, right? So we break it down into pieces so you can develop the bits, the parts that you can add into your actual overall martial skill. So that's balance control. Have some fun with that. There's a few ways you can do it. One attack, one defend, both attack, yeah, and just keeping in mind, protect your center, aim everything forward, keep your balance. Alrighty, any questions? Put in the community. The community. Also, if you want to put videos in the community, that's also fine. Film you and your training partner doing it, and we can give you feedback on that as well. Alrighty, look forward to seeing you in our next session.